Hello, fiber friends. Welcome to another episode of the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy, and I am coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. This is my little corner of the YouTube where I share and document all my fibery adventures. That could be knitting or crocheting or spinning or whatever other crafty rabbit hole I go down. So if this sounds like just your brand of crazy, grab a cup of something to wet your whistle and keep you hydrated, grab a project to work on, and let's get together. So, as I said, my name is Dorothy. I am a media specialist by day in a high school here in Maryland, and at night I am an avid fiber artist. I do a lot of crocheting, a lot of knitting. I do some weaving. I do some spinning. I just learned to spin last year around May, and I do some yarn dyeing. And I don't even know what else at this point. I have been crafty all my life. I have flitted from craft to craft, but I think when I landed on the fiber arts, that's where my crafting has really landed and where I really honed in on what brings me joy, what is my stress reliever, and I have stuck with it for, oh gosh, more than 30 years now. So, if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I love so much that you come and spend time with me. And if you are a new viewer, welcome to the crazy. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope you will continue to join us for any other crazy shenanigans that come my way or our way, who knows. So if you would like to find me out on the interwebs, I will post here a picture of all of my various accounts. You could find me on Ravelry, you could find me on Instagram. I did create a Blue Sky account. It seems like a lot of people are hopping over to Blue Sky now because we don't know what is all going on. What else? I do have a Ko-Fi account if you would like to support this channel. It helps me with shipping out prizes. And what else? I have a Gmail account if you would like to contact me. So, without further ado, let me share what has been going on in my life. Well, unfortunately, 2025 has been off to a bit of a rocky start for me. First off, we had a scare in my family. My younger sister had her first colonoscopy at the end of last year, and unfortunately they did find polyps. None of this was shared in great detail over the holidays because in my family, nobody ever wants to ruin anybody's holidays. It's a catch-22. I think it's ridiculous, but I know I do it sometimes as well. So anyway, at the beginning of January, she had to go in for a surgery. The surgery went longer than was anticipated because they found, I guess they found more area that had to be removed. So she did have a portion of her colon removed. I think it was a significant portion of a specific section of the colon. And so it was anyway, she was healing better than they anticipated, and so she was sent home sooner than we thought she would be. But I guess nowadays it's sometimes worse to be in the hospital for any length of time because of all the infections and viruses that people can catch in hospitals. But she is home. She is slowly recuperating. Thankfully, she received a call from her doctor last week letting her know that her pathology report came back and showed no signs of cancer and no signs of lymph nodes. So thankfully, we can cross that off on the list. She will go back sometime towards the end of this month. I know there's only a few days left in this month, but I can't remember what day exactly. I think it's the 28th, where she goes in for her checkup after the surgery, where the doctor will talk to her more about what's been going on, what happened, what they tested for and whatnots, and we'll see what happens from there. Another thing is we have had snow here. Not a significant amount. I'd say maybe half a foot, maybe 6 to 7 inches in my area. I know some areas of Maryland probably got more, but it has been very, very cold here.
Oh, I'm so cold that I'm shivering.
I moved here in 2001. Blah. I moved here in 2001, and I think this last week may have been the coldest week I can recall since I've moved to Maryland. I don't remember being really down in the teens or the single digits in Maryland before since I've moved here, but I could be wrong. I could not be remembering well, who knows? But it has been super, super cold here, and I have been in super, super blanket mode with the cold, and I think with certain things that have been going on in the news, I have been crafting a lot as a de-stressor, and you will be seeing that in what I share with you today. If you have been following me on Instagram, you would have seen a post last week where I had shared that my office was a whopping 100 degrees. Yes, 100 degrees in my office. I go through this every year in our building, whether we are switching from boilers to AC or AC to boilers. Something always goes wrong with I don't even know what they're called anymore, the units, and I never know whether I am going to the 7 depth of hell or if I'm visiting with the penguins in Antarctica. So last week I was in the 7th depth of hell with 100-degree temperatures all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, we finally got somebody from HVAC, from the county HVAC department, out to take a look and see what was going on. They claim that the dampers, something about the dampers weren't open or the chillers weren't on. I don't know why you would have chillers in the winter, but I am not an HVAC expert, so I have no freaking clue what they're talking about. But when I came in Friday, it was 80 degrees in my office. So not 100, but not exactly, cooler. I mean, it was cooler, but, not a normal temperature, like, 75 would have been perfect. But anyway, that's been my week. And then if you watched my last episode where I was sharing my 2025 plans, you heard me being so excited that I was redoing my craft room. Basically, I am going to gut it. I'm going to take everything out, vacuum the floor, and start over. And I had made a big purchase from IKEA that was supposed to have been delivered on January 20th, Martin Luther King Day. Now, that Friday before, I did get a text message from, I thought it was the delivery company. Maybe it was IKEA. I'm not quite sure now anymore because I tend to go through and delete my messages sometimes. And it had said that the shipment would be delayed due to the weather. Not a problem. Totally understand that. But then Sunday night came and I get an email from IKEA saying my delivery was, coming on Monday, January 20th. And I'm like, that can't be right. So I go online and I look at my account, I look at my order, and sure enough, it still says in process or whatever. And I'm like, okay, Tuesday comes, I didn't hear anything. Wednesday comes, I didn't hear anything. I think Wednesday around lunchtime, I took another look, signed into my account to see where I was in the process. And it had changed from in process to it's on its way. Of course, it was still saying January 20th. It's supposed to be delivered January 20th between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Here it is now, January 22nd. Go figure that one out. And I thought, okay, well, it's on its way. So I'm guessing it would be delivered Wednesday. There were some numbers there that I thought were shipping numbers that went with the shipping company that was sending it out. So I clicked on the link to see where they were, if they had maybe a time frame or whatever. The link didn't work. Tried going to the shipping company's website and putting in the numbers that were on my account that I thought were maybe the shipping label numbers. Nope, that didn't work. That they didn't recognize those numbers. So I said, all right, well, it says it's on its way. Never had any issues with IKEA before. Usually when something says it's on its way, it is in fact on its way. Needless to say, I went to bed Wednesday night, no delivery. Came home from work Thursday, no delivery. So I get back online and I do the chat, and the person, or the computer, I don't know when you're doing a chat online, they came back and the whoever it was said that nope, it hasn't gone out yet, it's still in the warehouse. I'm like, but it says online. Yeah, no, it's still at the warehouse. If I put in expedited, to contact you. So if you don't hear from them in 24 to 48 hours, call us back and we'll cancel the order and redo it or whatever. I thought that was a little strange since, like I said, my account was saying it was at the shipping company. So I called IKEA. Sure enough, the person I spoke with said the exact same thing. There was a mix-up. There were some delays due to the weather, and she didn't know when exactly it was going to go out, but I should be hearing from somebody in 24 to 48 hours. They put an expedited thing on my account for the shipping company or something like that. Well, today is Sunday, and I heard nothing back, so I called them again. And the person that helped me this time was extremely, extremely helpful. It sounded like he called both the shipping company to find out what was going on there, and when they didn't have it, he called the warehouse to find out what was going on. And I'm guessing something got misplaced or misfiled or some sort of computer glitch between the warehouse and the delivery company. So the person redid my order, sent it to me to prove that I had not been charged a second time for all of this stuff, which I will still be keeping an eye out on my credit card because I want to make sure. And now it's supposed to be coming Tuesday. So hopefully next weekend I will be able to get started. Well, actually, I will be getting started earlier because I have things I need to get out of the house before the shipment comes in. So, anywho, that has been what has been going on in my life since we started in January. I think I just mentioned this. I have been doing a lot of crafting this year since, I would say, the last 6 days. It has been very stressful, and I did a lot of crocheting and knitting to be de-stressed. And on that note, let us move on to finished objects. So, first up for finished objects, I did manage to finally finish my brother-in-law's socks. These, the yarn is from Mustache Yarn. The colorway is, I don't remember what it's exactly called, but it's from her Star Wars collection, and it's basically C-3PO colorway. I don't remember exactly what she calls it because I know that they can't use the names for fear of getting some sort of a cease and desist order from Disney, but they are finished. They were done toe up, and I used this gray that I had in my stash to do the toes, heels, and cuffs. So I did the toe up, I did all the way up to the cuff, then I did the cuffs, and then I cut in, and I did, what is her name? What is her name? Kay Jones. No, not Kay Jones. Yes, Kay Jones. I always get her mixed up with the Kay Litton of the Crazy Sock Lady. Kay Jones and her umbrella heel. This is the heel that I did last year on all, not last year, the year before, Christmas 2023, when I knit Christmas socks for my whole family. And the umbrella heels really seem to fit him well. So when I make socks for him, he will be getting the umbrella heel. So these are now done, and these will just go in my pile for this year's Christmas gift. So this is going to be part of his Christmas gift for 2025. Then I was at work and I had, I think it was it was the first day back, and for whatever reason, they called a staff meeting after school. Not fun, calling a staff meeting the first day back after winter break. And I had not brought anything to keep my hands busy, but we have a knit and crochet club at my school, so I have lots of donated yarn in my office for it. So I just grabbed a skein, and I grabbed some circular needles that were donated, and I started a hat so that I would have something to knit while I was at work, while I was sitting in this meeting. So I did a simple German twisted cast on, and I did 2x2, I think for, I don't know, about, I think 1.5 inches down here. And I would have to count. I cannot remember how many I casted on, but I used it was sport weight yarn, and I used a US 4 16-inch circular needle for this. And so I cast it on, I'd say probably at least 100 stitches, if not 100 and, let's see, 10, it would be 108 or 112 because it was divisible by 4. So I did about 1.5 inches of 2x2 ribbing, and then I went into a 3x3 by 1 ribbing for the main body of the hat. So it stretches, it will go into our donation box. My knitting club hosts a charity hat donation all year long. We collect hats and we donate them to a Title I school that is in our county. So this will fit any size child's head. I unfortunately ran out of the color, so I pulled some black from my stash that I had and finished it off. And I really do like how the top of the hat turned out with the 3x1 decreasing. I think I did, all of my decreases were purl two together. Ooh, say that 5 times fast, Dorothy. And so it makes a very, very nice spiral, and I just really like how that turned out. Since this yarn was not from my stash, it will not be counted in my grams in and out. I was going to attempt to count the black, but not going to worry about it. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of grams to make that much of a difference. But 1 donation hat finished. Then I pulled out a skein of yarn that I had dyed sometime last year. It was a worsted weight, and I made a few headbands. This was the is a cable woven headband. I don't know if you can really see the cables because I know I used colorful yarn that I dyed. But it is, I will put, in case I forgot to mention, and I think I did, I will put links to all of my project pages in the information box below. And the pattern for this is a free Ravelry pattern. If Ravelry is not accessible to you, I'm very sorry. This was a pattern that was on Ravelry. But I'm sure you could pick up any cable book and find a nice cable pattern and do the same thing. So with one skein of yarn, I managed to make 3, and these will just go in my gift box. I am working towards making several headbands and hats that I can bring to the gym that I work out in, and let the folks that I take my gym classes with pick and choose a hat that they might want next year at winter time. So that is 3 headbands that will go in there. And I had 2 more hats to share. One is I had mentioned this in a previous podcast that I was that I was trying out a couple of different brands of mohair to see if there was any if I could feel any real difference between them, because I have not knitted a sweater with mohair. I know when I was younger, I had sensory issues, and my mother had once bought me a mohair sweater, and I got it on as far as my neck when I started screaming, "Take it off, take it off." I'm sure it was not good mohair or real mohair. I would bet it was probably some sort of an acrylic frizzy fuzzy thing that just was very, very scratchy to me. But I have heard other podcasters mention that they felt this mohair was softer or this was the best mohair, and I just thought I would purchase one little skein of each different brand and try it out for myself. And so I bought those sometime last year. I can't even remember when, but it was probably after September. But anywho, I had these 2. Let me see, this one was, so it was a Sanascarn Sunday was the merino, and I held it with Sanascarn Tin Silk Mohair, and the colorway is 4672 and the colorway is called Blackberry. And I originally wanted to make the Petite Knits Oslo hat in the mohair edition, but I did not have enough yardage because I would have needed 2 of each. I would have needed 2 of the merino and 2 of the mohair. So instead, I knit a top-down hat. I used the beginning, I followed the pattern for the Musselburgh to start the top down and do the increases in that way. This was knit on a 2.75 millimeter circular needle, and I went down, I want to say, I think to about, I opened it up to I think about 140 stitches maybe, and I knit down to I would say about 7.5, 8 inches, and then I wanted to start the ribbing. When I started the ribbing, I did do an even decrease row all the way around because it was definitely going to be too big. And I finished it off with the German not the German. What did I finish it off with? No, not Judy's. Jenny's Magic Cast Off. Jenny's Stretchy Bind Off. I think that's what it's called. And I have worn this almost every day since I finished it. I do feel a little of the mohair sensation on my forehead, more so when I'm hot. So I don't know if it's a reaction to when my forehead gets sweaty, but I have worn it, like I said, practically every day since I have completed this. I enjoy it. I like it. I would put it on, but I just washed my hairs and got my curls set, and I don't want to mess up my curls. So that is one. And then I casted on another one. And this one, what did I use this one? I used the Knitting for Olive Merino, but I used the Isager silk mohair in the, I think both colorways were the color. I believe both yarns were in the colorway Cloud. I went, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I went up a needle size, not tremendously. I went up to a 3.0 knitting needle for this one, and I did that because I think that was the needle size that the Oslo mohair hat called for. So I thought I would try and get closer to that. Unfortunately, I went a little too big with this one, and I will post a lovely picture that I posted on Facebook to show you just how big this one got. So I haven't decided if I'm just going to put it in the gift bag or the gift box, because I think it is super big for someone, or if I'm going to attempt to frog it back and either frog it back to the increases and just shorten it up and then redo it, or if I'm going to take it completely out and try it again on the 2.75 needles, because I can definitely feel between these two that this one is a tighter knit. Not that you could see it too. I mean, I guess you could see it, just I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but I could definitely visually see that this has a bit of a tighter stitch to it. So I don't know. I haven't decided. I may just forego it and move on. And there you have all of my finished objects. So 3 hats, 3 headbands, and 1 pair of socks. What can I say? Accessories were the thing this year so far. So now let's move on to my whips. So first up, in my fat squirrel bag, my little mushroom butts I call them. I have no idea what this pattern is actually called, but it is one of her small bags. It has a lovely little zipper handle. I have my Musselburgh hat that I am knitting with Fiber Hustle yarn. Here is my progress keeper from the last time I shared this on the podcast, and I've knit, I guess, almost about 3 inches. This one I'm going to knit as much as I can. I still have quite a good amount left in the skein. I'm going to knit it as long as I can before I need to do the decreases. I am using my Haya, my shorter tips. These are the 4-inch tips, and I believe these are the US 3 tips that I'm using for this. Again, I think I went too big, and I really like this color, so I might I might actually rip this one back to make it a little bit smaller, but I love the color of this yarn. I love that there is like no flashing happening. Very, very pretty, and I cannot wait to wear this color. So that is just about it. The Musselburgh, if you have not heard of it, the designer is Kuutar Tee. It is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. You can use any weight yarn that you like, and you basically cast on at the top. You follow her directions for increasing, and once you have I guess about 2 inches of knitting done, you can count up how many stitches you get per inch. And she has a chart in the pattern that you can look at to see, to compare it to the chart to find out how many, like if you want to make a child size hat, and it goes from, I think it goes from baby all the way up to large or extra large adult. So once you find out what the gauge of your hat is, or what gauge you're knitting at, you can then decide how many stitches you need to increase to make the size of the hat that you want. And then once you get to the number of stitches that are required for the size that you want, you would just knit, and then you would do the decreases, and then the hat folds in on each other. If you have not knit this pattern before and you are thinking of it, I would highly suggest that you weigh your skein before you start and write it down somewhere where you can remember it. And once you get to the point that you have enough stitches for the size hat that you want, you weigh your skein again, and whatever that difference is, if say you used, let's keep it simple, you weigh your skein and it actually weighs 101 grams, and it takes you 20 grams to knit all the increases and to get you to the number that you need all the way around, and you weigh your skein again and it now weighs 20 grams less, you now know that when your skein gets down to the last, say, 21 grams, to give you an extra gram just in case, that's when you can start doing your decreases for the other side, and you will basically use up most of your skein. You may have, a little smidge left over, but that's my suggestion. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you, but anywho, so that is one down. What do you guys think? Should I take it back? I don't know. Next up, we have my mother's sweater, or actually my mother's top. It is in a Bags by Awesome Granny bag. I know I'm still in my Christmas bag mode. And I have a good portion of the sleeve done now. I have, I think, another inch to go on the sleeve before I will do another set of decreases, and then I will do a 1x1 rib to match the collar, and then I will pick up and do the rest of the body. But I am loving this knit. I thoroughly enjoy doing the lace work at the top, but I am very happy to be just on autopilot mode now that I am on stockinette stitches. I have been doing my decreases because the pattern, let me back up for a minute. The pattern has this as a short sleeve. It is, I'm sorry, I don't think I shared the pattern. This is the Kuutar Tee, and it is by Sari Norland. It is knit using a sport weight yarn, and I am using Galileo Sport from Nick Picks. The colorway is Calliope, which is a bright pink fuchsia, as you could tell. And the pattern actually calls for short sleeves. My mom doesn't really wear short sleeves. She tends to wear more 3/4 length sleeves. So when she opened it at Christmas, I was able to measure her. We talked about where she wanted the sleeves, how she wanted the rest of the body done. So that's what I am doing. So I have been doing my decreases I started with, I think, every 10 rows. And now I'm doing it a little, I want to say, I think I'm doing it every 5 rows now. So I have been putting in these little light bulb stitch markers, and the bottom one is at a decrease. And then when I get to, when I do 5 rows, I will do another decrease and I'll put in another stitch marker. And so now I'm just waiting. When I get to the next decrease, I will take the bottom stitch marker and put it up there. And since I'm doing my sleeves 2 at a time, I am at the same place. So I have stitch markers on both sides to keep me in line and decreasing at the same time in the same increments and stuff like that. So hopefully I will have the sleeves finished. Hopefully for sure. Hopefully for sure. Hopefully I will have the sleeves finished by the next episode, and I will be back to working the body, because the body will be some more mindless knitting for me. I can just sit and listen to a podcast or listen to an audiobook and just knit. It's my favorite kind of knitting sometimes, because I just feel like I am on autopilot. Okay, next up is a new cast on. It's one you have not seen before, and it is almost finished. It is on my Make 9 board. It is my Tulip Stitch Crochet Blanket. For those of you that don't know what a Make 9 board is, it is a phenomenon that has been going around on Instagram. What is her name? Her podcast is Noble Character Crafts. Is it Amy? Or I think I might be getting her mixed up with Amy from Happy Little Yarn. Gosh. Let me tell you, folks. Menopause fog brain is for real. Anywho, it is where you decide on 9 projects or ideas or techniques or combination of 9 things that you would like to try and accomplish in a year. And so I decided I would try that this year. I have done it in the past. Sometimes it's been successful, sometimes it has not. But this year, a lot of what is on my Make 9 is also in line with my goals for 2025. So hopefully I will have more success in completing my Make 9 this year. So one of the items on my Make 9 is the Tulip Crochet Blanket. And another one of my goals is to use up and shop more from my stash. So I went through my acrylic stash and I found 2 cakes of this Karen Big Cake, I think it's called. The colorway is cherry cake. They no longer make this color. And I started a crochet blanket. It was supposed to be just a lapgan size blanket because I only had 2 cakes of it. But then I found another 2 cakes. And a friend of mine from the gym commented that she really liked it and that she would She's thinking that she might like to purchase it from me. I told her that she would just have to purchase it me for the cost of the yarn, because I was originally making it as a donation piece to either Project Linus or to a senior center, because I think it was going to turn out to be more of a lapgan size than really a usable baby size. Well, I shouldn't say that. It could have been a usable baby size as like a mat to put down on the floor for the baby to play with. And she said, all right, well, let me see what it looks like, and I'll decide then. But when I found 2 more cakes, I just went ahead and made a full-size blanket. It's about well, before I put the border on, it was about 32 inches across. I have no idea how long it is yet. I have not measured it, but I'd say it's at least almost 6 feet, because I want to say it comes up to here on me, and I'm like 5'6". So, and I'm putting a border on it, and so far I just did 2 rows of single crochet, and then I did a row of a linen stitch, and then when I got to this row, I did a single crochet and then a half double where I put it through to the bottom instead of just the space stitch of the linen stitch. But I still have a good portion of the 4th cake left, so I'm thinking I might just continue to go around the edge in this manner, doing the single crochet, doing the linen stitch. So the linen stitch was this pinky coral color, this dusty rose color, where it was single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and then doing the next row with this sort of like hybrid spiked stitch, where I did single crochet and then half double into the stitch below, single crochet, half double, to make it just a little bit wider and larger for her. But that will probably most definitely get done by my next podcast. And I have used this yarn before. Once you wash it, it really softens up a lot. I really do like it for a blanket yarn. It is very nice. This stitch is very nice. This is the tulip stitch. So it almost looks like a herringbone stitch with the 3 double crochet stitches. So like the granny stitch, I guess, for lack of better terms. So I really like it. It kind of, like I said, it kind of looks like a herringbone stitch, because you've got one row that slants this way and then the other row slants that way. It's actually very warm and cozy. I'm looking forward to having this finished. I'm looking forward to having 4 huge honking skeins out of my stash. And then I can't wait to wash it and really feel the magic happen, because this yarn, if you have not used Caron Big Cakes for like blankets and stuff, it does make a very nice blanket, and it does soften up very nicely when you wash it. And the best part is you can wash it in the washing machine. That's my favorite part of it. I tend to make most of my blankets in acrylics when I'm making them for other people, just because I don't know if I would forgive them if I gave them a wool blanket and they ruined it. I shouldn't say that. My sister has, oh, excuse me, something was in my eye. My sister has, I think, the only wool blanket I have ever knit for someone else. And she paid for the rest of the yarn that I needed to purchase to turn this shawl into a blanket, and that took me forever. I will put a picture up here and you can see what the blanket looks like. But and she was told very specifically, if she ever washed this yarn in the washing machine and shrunk it she would never, ever get another blanket from me. And then the last blanket I'm going to share with you guys today is what I call my Frankenblanket. Now this is just in a 41 or 31 bag because it is a honker and I like big bags for my blankets. So, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to share. For this one, I was using, I don't remember oh, there it is. I used a Boye, B-O-Y-E crochet hook, and I am using the 5mm H hook. So that's what I'm using on my Tulip Crochet blanket. For my Frankenblanket, I am using the Clover Amour hook, again, size H, 5mm. I am using fingering weight scraps held double, and this is the end of my magic balls that I've made, so I'm hoping I don't need to make any more magic balls, but we'll see. And this is the beast. So this was put away for the summer because there was no way I could work with this much weight or wool on my lap. And I'm sorry, I am just trying to find my progress keeper so I can show you guys, oh, there he is, how much I've gotten done since I picked it back up this year. So here it is. Oops. So here's my little Tigger. You see him? He's my little Tigger progress keeper. I can't remember who I bought him from, but I'm sure it was an Etsy shop. And I'll take a look at my Etsy purchases and list the shop down and below in the show notes. But here's my little Tigger, because Tiggers are wonderful things. And I have done, oh, where'd Tigger go? So here's Tigger. I've done all this in January. So basically the fingering, I'm using fingering weight yarn, anything that I had left over in my stash. I had started this blanket, let me start that over. I had started this blanket using holding two threads. Let me start this again. I started this blanket holding 2 skeins of fingering together, and what I was doing is I was using a color for 2 rows, and then I was switching it, but I was only switching one color. So at the very beginning, one color went for 2 rows, and then I switched it out, while the other color went to a 3rd row before I switched it out. And then as I was going back and forth every row, one of the colors got switched out. I got tired of that very quickly, and I realized that one row was approximately 8 grams of yarn. So I went through all of my leftovers and my minis, and I pulled out all of my little 8 grammers. I was originally collecting all this yarn to do the sock blankie that was popular many years ago. I think I had read recently that pattern is no longer available on Ravelry, but it's very close to the Cozy Memories blanket. It was all mitered squares, except it was more done in the diamond shape. So the edging was diamond shaped. The sides, were the sides? Yeah, I guess the sides were too. Anyway, so I had a lot of like 5 to 8 gram minis collected for that blanket. So I just started doing magic knot balls, and I absolutely love the way this marled. I cannot wait for this blanket to be finished. It is a nice heavy blanket. It's going to feel like a weighted blanket. It is about, I would say, almost 5 feet across because it's my entire wingspan. I think I started with a chain of 300 or 301. I would have to look at my project notes, but I will have that link down below so you can look at my project notes, because I'm pretty positive I put down how many I chained to start this project. And it is almost as tall as I am, so I'm hoping that by the time I finish with these, it will be tall enough. And then I'm trying to decide if I should crochet a border all the way around it. I don't know what colors I would do. I don't know if I would continue with a marl or if I would go for, I don't know, I could go for maybe a dark purple or a charcoal gray. I don't want to use black because black is so like, a lot of people, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people use black when they use multicolors like this. Definitely not a white, not a cream, nothing light, because this will probably be used a lot. I don't know. I could do a gray and purple maybe and marl it all the way around. What do you guys think? What do you suggest I do for the edging? Should I do an edging? I'm definitely doing an edging. I always like to edge all of my blankets, but would you do it in a solid black, a solid navy, a solid charcoal, or would you do a marl? Or would you just do like a mixed up marl just like the rest of the blanket is? Should I just do a little magic knot ball with some minis and do it that way, and do a marl single crochet edging all the way around? I think that's all I would do. It would be one row of single crochet all the way around. Let me know your opinion, because I really don't know what I want to do for the edging of this. But while I'm thinking about it, let me move my little Tigger up. Ugh, I do not like these lobster claws. I may have to switch this out for a lever back. Am I on the right? Okay, so this is the right side. Well, not the right side, but the right end, I should say. All right, so Tigger is moved up. And if I make any progress on it in the next 2 weeks, I will show it again. If I don't make much progress, you will not see it now in the next episode. Doesn't make any sense to show it to you if I've only made 1 or 2 rows, right? And oh, I have one more work in progress. It has been a long-standing whip, but I have been contacted recently by an old high school friend that I used to be very, very close with. And we are Facebook friends, and she saw all the things that I had knit for Christmas. And she contacted me letting me know that it was, spectacular, that I have a real gift for this and all that. And she asked me if I could possibly make her a blanket or a hat or something that, she was willing to pay and whatnot. And as we were talking, I found out that she is also going through a major life event. She has pancreatic cancer. Getting old really sucks. You know that? I never had friends with cancer when I was younger. I'm going to start crying. Um, it just sucks getting old and seeing people around you dealing with shit and you're not used to it because it really only happens when you're getting older, if that makes any sense. Anyway, she is going through chemo and all that, and she so far has not lost any of her hair, but she has lost a lot of weight, and she is definitely feeling the chills and stuff like that. And so I said I would go through. I said I couldn't make her a full blanket because it takes time. I didn't, at the time that we were talking about this, the craziness of 2025 had not started yet. And I don't like to normally say to people that I'd be able to make them, especially a blanket, in any given time, because they can get redundant or they could get done very quickly, like my tulip stitch blanket, because I've been so stressed. But I told her that I would go through um, my boxes and see what I had made, that maybe I have a lapgan that she, that I'd be more than happy to send her way and whatnot. And what I found were these squares that I had started making years ago. And I can't remember the name of the pattern. Let me just look it up real quick. So it was the Slipped Stitch Sampler Throw, and it was off of the Lion Brand website. So I'm supposed to make 6 of these, and I've made 4, and they appear to be bigger. I think they turned out bigger than what the pattern called for, which didn't bother me. I like my blankets bigger. This is all made out of Cascade 220 Superwash. And I had originally bought all of these colors because I had wanted to crochet the Babette blanket that was popular, gosh, I don't know, quite a number of years ago. And I really, really liked the look of the blanket that was in the look of the yarn that they used in the pattern, which is Quaigu KKPM or something like that. But of course, at that time, that yarn was way out of my price range for the amount that I would have needed for the blanket. So I had attempted to purchase all the different colors. I tried to match the colors from the Quaigu with the Cascade 220 Superwash. And when I started it, I didn't like how the granny squares were coming out because it just didn't have that tonal effect that you got with the Quaigu with the hand dyed yarn. It was just a very solid color. So when I found this pattern, I decided I would use all of my Cascade 220 Superwash for this. So I have 4 squares of them. And that's 1 square. So they were all different sampler patterns or sample stitches, which is kind of like neat in and of itself. And so I let her know that I had these 4 things that I could put together for her, and it would make a much larger size lap blanket. I think each of these squares, I think they're 24 by 24. So it would make a pretty nice size blanket still, 48 by 48. And I know when I started this, I had like a taupe, like 3 or 4 skeins in a taupe color that I was going to use to connect them. And of course, I can't find that yarn now. I have a feeling I gave up on putting this together, and I'm surprised I didn't put this in as well as the skeins. We had my knitting group does a yarn swap twice a year. And I think I may have put the rest of the yarn from this blanket in that swap last fall, and I think I put in those taupe colorways because I could not find it. So I had to buy more yarn. And as I was looking at the colors again, I was going to rebuy that same taupey color, but I decided to go with gray instead. It's a pretty silver gray, and I think it's going to work even better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet these together. I had crocheted, as you could see, I crocheted an edging all the way around the squares. And I honestly can't remember if that was called for in the pattern because this was so long ago. This was, according to my project page, I started this back in 2014. So 10 years, 11 years ago. So I can't remember if the pattern called for the crochet border around each square, or if I just did that because I was going to crochet them together and because it's faster and easier. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the gray, and I'm going to crochet the 4 squares together. I'm going to put a nice crochet border all around the outside, and if I manage to have some of these, as I'm cleaning out my stash and redoing my craft room, if I find that I still have some of these colors, I might add them and do a border something similar to this, where each round is a different color, just to sort of tie in some of the colors that I used in these squares to tie them all together. So we'll see. I really pray that everything works out for her because I don't want to lose another friend. Anywho, so that is the end, right? Let me see. Let me check. That is the end of my works in progresses. Now, I want to share an idea that I'm thinking about. And it was something that my younger sister sent me. She had come across it in her social media scrolling, and she sent it to me as an idea because we are both, actually both of my sisters and I, all 3 of us are heavy readers. This post that had come across her feed, and it was a book blanket. And it's actually a group on Facebook, and the name of the group is called Book Blanket. And basically what they do is they crochet or knit. I think most of the ones that I have seen have been crochet, but I am guessing that you could knit a square for a book cover as well. And I'm thinking I might try that this year. I'm trying to keep better records of all the books that I read, and I have downloaded the Goodreads app on my phone so that as soon as I finish reading or listening to an audiobook, I can go right to my phone and put it in Goodreads. So I'm hoping to keep better track. I just want to keep track of the titles and the number of books that I read. I'm not the best at putting in book reviews when I'm finished because I tend to do it like as soon as I'm finished reading. Anyhow, so I was thinking I might try that. I'm going to post a few pictures up here from where I had taken them off of the Book Blanket Facebook group. It's a very neat idea, and it's a neat way to create something that connects to your reading. If I do this year, I'm thinking I might do simple crochet granny squares and match colors to the covers of the books. But if you go take a look, there's one blanket I'll post here, completely finished, where you can even see that some people will not only match the colors that's on the cover of the book, but they will try and make something that goes on the square that connects to the theme of the book or character or the style of book. It's really a neat concept, and I don't know why. The group has been around for a while on Facebook. It's never come across my feed before, and I haven't really heard anybody talk about it on any of the podcasts that I've watched. So I thought I would share that in case none of you had seen it before. So if you have a Facebook account, I would highly suggest you go and check out the Book Blanket group. I am guessing, I didn't even think to check, but I will as soon as I'm done with this podcast now, to see if there is a hashtag for Book Blanket on Instagram, to see if people are putting it out on Instagram. But anyway, that's another idea for a blanket. So, but speaking of books, I do have a few to share with you. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to share the acquisitions with you. So, I'm sorry for the cut-in, but I have to share these. So, before Christmas, Chip from Fiber Hustle had contacted me because they, if you don't know who Fiber Hustle is, it is another podcast show. Chip and Aaron are the hosts. Aaron is a knitter and a crocheter. He is also the yarn dyeing half of Fiber Hustle, whereas Chip is the sewer. He is a huge quilt maker, and he has been making, he also makes project bags, and that is his part of Fiber Hustle. And in their last episode before Christmas, Chip had shared a new bag that he was, a prototype bag that he was doing, because he had bought a new template, and I hope I'm getting this right, and Chip, I apologize if I'm not. He bought a new template for his sewing machine that did embroidery, and so he had done up a prototype. And now I can't remember if he showed one in red and one in blue, or if he just showed one and said he would do it on a red or blue background. And he asked for people to comment on what they would like if he did it. And so I thought about it, and I decided that if he does it, I would like it in blue. So, I put my comments in, and I got contacted by him to let me know that he'd only done a few, and since I had commented that I would like a blue one, he asked if I still wanted it. He was having some issues with the embroidery portion of the sewing. I don't know. I think that's what he said. I could be wrong. Chip, I apologize if I am. But anyway, I bought this right before Christmas, and it got delivered. It is this beautiful, beautiful machine embroidered sheep that's on the fabric, all done in snowflakes. It looked just as beautiful on the red fabric, but I felt like the red in the snowflakes was really going to be more Christmassy feeling, and I wanted to be able to use this well into February and March, since we sometimes get snow that late, and I thought blue would work better for winter. But isn't he the cutest? I just love him. And they have their logo on the snap that's at the top, so you can unsnap it if you need to, or you could snap it back together. And this was shipped from Washington, and it has kept its shape in the mail. It's a fabulous project bag. This is, I think, my third Chip basket, and I just love it. And then yesterday, unfortunately, another one of our local yarn shops is not exactly going out of business. I'm not quite sure. Um, I don't know if she is going to be moving solely to be an online shop or if she is going to look for another storefront. But the place that she is currently at and has been for the last several years, the owner of the building has decided that they were going to double her lease price, and she just couldn't afford it. So she's having a huge sale to get rid of a lot of her inventory. And me, my friend Melissa, and Kit decided to go out and take a look and see what things and what discounts she was having. And we knew that she had good yarn because we visit there. And so we went and I made some purchases. So first up, and I will say, all of my purchases were done with a project in mind. Maybe not a specific pattern yet, but with a project. So first up, I purchased 2 skeins of stone wool, which is 100% American Cormo, and it is so nice and soft. These are 50-gram skeins. They are 100% Cormo wool. I think these are worsted spun. Not worsted, woolen spun. I'm not quite sure. But they are going to be a hat. I haven't decided. I was originally thinking that one color might be the brim and one color might be the main portion of the hat, since they went well together. Their color is much better in person than it's showing up on the screen, but it's like a mauvey pink and a deeper, like definitely in the same family. But now I'm thinking maybe I will do some sort of a simple color work, or maybe some sort of a mosaic pattern that would be very subtle. But this will definitely be turned into a hat. These are 50-gram skeins. They're 100 yards each. Then we found out that their Madeline Tosh sock yarn was on sale for 50% off. And when I went over to the wall, I saw this color and immediately grabbed it. Unfortunately, they only had 3 skeins of it, which is not enough for a shirt for me. So it's Madeline Tosh sock yarn. It's 395 yards per skein, and this colorway is called Siren, and it is definitely a Dorothy color. So I picked up some Great Gray Owl to go with it. So that may be some sort of a striped top, where obviously the Siren will be more of the main color. Or it could be some sort of a color work. I haven't decided yet, but this is definitely going to be a top or a sweater for me. And then lastly, I really wish that they had a sweater's quantity of this, but this was actually the last skein they had, and it is the brand is Utopia. It's their Wisco sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and the colorway is called Scarlet. Now, unfortunately, to me, it looks like it's showing up more of an orangey red, but it definitely is not. It is definitely more of a blue red. I don't know why it's turning up so orangey on my screen. But if they had had a sweater's worth of this color, this would have been the sweater quantity I would have purchased. And this was also 50% off, so I couldn't resist. This will probably turn into some sort of neckerchief, maybe a Sophie scarf that's a little wider or a little broader and a little longer, or maybe party line, I don't know, but or if not, it may turn into a Musselburgh, because I could use a red hat. Why not? Right? And so that is the extent of my purchases. So now we can move on to books. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I just finished another book. So the first book I'm going to share, it's called Your Blood, My Bones, and it's by Kelly Andrew. It is a paranormal book. It's a it's paranormal. It sort of has a gothic feel to it. There is a threesome that grew up in a house. It was the girl whose family owns the house, and then it was two guys who were like, the three of them were friends that grew up in this house together. You find out later in the book that one of the boys is actually the paranormal. So the concept is the family, the father's side of the family, has to do something every year to keep the evil at bay. And the mother got so tired of it that she left and took the girl with her, not realizing that it would pass down to the girl no matter whether she was there or not. But she felt so betrayed by her father and what transpired in that house, that when he passed away and it went to her, she took off, and her plan was to go to the house and basically just light a match and burn it down. That's how she wanted no part of that history. But then one of the boys that she thought had abandoned her was spotted. She found there, and things get complicated, and then you really start to understand what's going on. Very good book if you like paranormal, spooky, gothic-y things. Next up, I read Want to Know a Secret by Frida McFadden. Interesting fact I just learned about from an Instagram friend of mine, Valerie, that it is said that Frida McFadden has sort of been copying plot lines of other books. I had not heard anything like that until Val sent that to me, and I haven't officially looked it up yet either, but I had already finished reading this one. So it's Want to Know a Secret. It is about a housewife who has a YouTube channel. She has a cooking YouTube channel, and it's pretty much sensationalized. There is a child and her husband, and she has a best friend in the neighborhood. But it was a very interesting twist for a mystery. I do recommend it. It was pretty good. Next up, I read There Should Have Been Eight of Us. There Should Have Been Eight by Nalini Singh. And it's Nalini, and the last name is Singh. And this is a group of friends that have been together for years. The main character, it is shared mostly from her point of view. And I don't know why this piece. So the main character was slowly going blind. She had some sort of disease, and she was slowly losing her vision. And it was very sad because her profession was, she was a photographer, and she was very good at it. She's very good at watching people, and she's very good at capturing people with her camera. But the fact that she was going blind did not, to me at least, didn't seem to add anything to the story, because it wasn't it had nothing to do with what was going on in the story. And she had it, of this group, there were two girls that were sisters, and she was very, very good friends with one of them. And unfortunately, she passed away a number of years ago. The sister of the girl that passed, I apologize, I don't remember all their names right now, but the sister of the girl that passed is part of this group as well. But when she went to go identify the body, she like identified it, buried it, like did everything very, very quickly, and didn't let any of the other friends in the group come and say their goodbyes. So they all feel like it was like an unsettled something in their life. And so they all decided to get together this one weekend when things start to happen. Very, very interesting and very good plot twist at the end. Then I read First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. And this is a book about a woman who is basically a grifter. And she gets caught, but she gets caught by somebody who wants to use her ability because she's very good at what she does. And she is on a job and she has a mark and she's falling for the mark. But at the same time, she wants to get out of this life. She has always kept her true identity like crystal, squeaky clean. She always felt like she would go back to that person when she got out of her life. So she always tried to make sure that her true identity was never touched. Unfortunately, the person that she worked for, and she never knew exactly who she worked for. He was just called Mr. whatever his name was, Mr. Smith, I think it was. And so she is in the middle of one of her assignments when she's starting to see things that are odd. Like she feels like somebody comes to the town that she's in and they have her true name and identity. So she knew right away that this was a setup from the person that she works with, because how else would they know? I mean, like they had her parents' names, her birth area, like everything was to a T. So she knew, she was trying to figure out whether she was going to be like next on the hit list or if this was just her boss's way of telling her to get moving. But very good. The ending was really spot on. And then the last book I read is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And I'm sorry I didn't write the author down because when I wrote my notes, I was currently reading it. And I can't check because I'm using my phone to record. But it was a very interesting take on witches. In this story, the witches could not get together. They were not allowed to hang out with one another. They got together once a month, always in a different location, because the person who was running the witch group felt that it was important for them to meet at different places so that they didn't get found out, because of course the real world is not ready for witches and witchcraft and what they do. And these witches actually do magic. So it's not like they still have their abilities. Like the main character is a very good potion maker and somebody else is very good at erasing memories and things like that. But there is also this notion of that they can see magic in the air. It's like gold dust around people who are of a witch descent. And for some reason in this story, when a witch is born, their parents always have some sort of tragic accident and pass away, and the witches always wind up becoming orphans. I don't know how that added to the story, but that's how it was. And so this one witch really didn't like the idea that they had to be alone. Like her big dream was to be loved. And she felt like she never had love in her life, not growing up, at no time, because her parents passed away, and the woman that took her in is actually the witch that runs the organization. She's very strict, but the witch herself never really raised her. She always had nannies. And whenever she messed up, or whenever the nannies figured out that she was a witch or that she had these powers, they would always use her for her powers. And when the witch that adopted her found this out, she would erase the memories of the nannies and they would move on. So she felt like nobody knew her, nobody cared for her, nobody loved her. She never really had love. She just had people sort of traipsing in and out of her life. And she felt that people really needed to be together. They needed to have other people. They needed to have connections in order to survive. And so she was contacted. She created her own little YouTube, again, another YouTuber. And she acted as, like that a witch on the YouTube, and that her magic was, she was sharing what she was doing, but all under the guise of being a witch. And so these people contacted her because they wanted her as a nanny, and they knew, they had somehow figured out that she was a witch, and they had 3 orphaned witches on their estate that they needed someone to teach them, because the witch that had taken in these 3 orphans had gone away on a trip. You find out later on that that's not exactly the case, but she goes out and she starts to train these 3 children. And of course, she starts to care for them. She starts to care for all the other people that are on this estate. And it's just a really nice story. And that is all I have for you. So, on that note, I am going to wish you farewell. I would love to know what you guys are working on right now. I know I have to pick a winner from my last full podcast, which was back in December. I am sorry. I totally forgot about that when I was pulling everything out for this episode. I really just remembered it right now. So I will either maybe do a short, or I will do it first thing on my next episode. I promise I will get to that. But if you would, please, in the comments below, let me know what you're working on. How is the beginning of your 2025 going? I would love to hear from you. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do all those wonderful YouTube-y stuffs. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then hit that bell so that you can be notified when I upload another podcast. Please, I enjoy reading your comments. So like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're working on. It really does help my algorithm and help my channel grow. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Ciao, ciao. Love y'all.